Hi everyone, I'm Changwen for Gotta Be Mobile. In this video, this is the second part of our LG G2 review series. We're going to go ahead and cover the software of the phone. Be sure to watch our first LG G2 video review in the series where we cover the hardware of the device, where we take a look at the sleek and slim design, the near bezel-less front display, as well as the rear button placement of the phone. In this video, we're going to focus more on the Android operating system and some of the neat little innovations that LG has added on top of the LG G2 to make it stand out from the crowd. On the left-hand side, I have the AT&T version for AT&T's 4G LTE US network, and on the right-hand side, I have the model for Verizon Wireless, also compatible with that carrier's 4G LTE network. Both models differ slightly both in terms of the hardware design as well as some of the software tweaks that are present. Immediately off the bat, once you slide down, let's go ahead and put this back into portrait orientation. Once you slide down the Android slider here from the top, what you're going to see is that AT&T actually gives you quick access to both the volume setting as well as to the display brightness. You can quickly adjust that with the Android notification drawer, a direct widget in the drawer. Whereas on the Verizon version, you're not going to have access to that immediately off the bat. You're going to have to dig into the settings menu to actually change a lot of the major settings. Also, once you're taking a look at the settings menu, the Verizon model actually gives you a scrollable list of settings, whereas on the AT&T model, I liked the UI slightly better in that it gives you a more organized feel to it by tabs. So here you have 4 tabs on the top, and it's similar to what Samsung is doing on the Galaxy Note 3, so that it gives you a more organized way to look at your settings. So here I have the Galaxy Note 3, and on the top you're going to see 4 different tabs when you're going to the settings, and you're going to see a similar pattern here on the LG G2. So you can quickly switch from your networks, which gives you access to all your different radios on there, such as the Wi-Fi. Both models actually do support Wi-Fi AC, or 802.11 AC, so it does give you faster Wi-Fi speeds if you have a compatible router. You can also turn on and off your tethering as well as your NFC features through the wireless networks tab. Sounds allows you to actually change your ringtones, your vibration settings, and also activate quiet mode, which is a nice feature to silence or mute the sounds of the phone so that you're not being disturbed at night when you're in deep slumber with an oncoming or incoming notification. You can also change your vibrations and your ringtones, and that's a nice feature considering that LG did include a very high fidelity audio speaker, loudspeaker on the LG G2, which sounds terrific. And then the display, the device does have a gorgeous 1080p 5.2-inch display, and this is a 5.2-inch LCD IPS display, so you're going to get nice viewing angles, not quite as nice as on the Samsung's Super AMOLED screen, but you're going to get a little bit more better color accuracy on the LCD panel here. You're going to change your lock screen. So you do have access to a number of different settings as well. So just like on the Samsung Galaxy S4, LG does include a number of smart sensors here. So Smart Screen actually uses the front-facing 2-megapixel 1080p camera to actually take a look and see if you're actually actively staring at the screen. And if you are, it's going to keep the screen on the brightness level that you had adjusted the screen to, and it's not going to turn off or dim the display to conserve battery power when it knows you're actually using the device. However, if the camera can't sense that your eyes or your face is looking at it, then it will actually dim the display and eventually turn off the screen to conserve battery power. Similar with Smart Video, if it detects your eyes are looking at the video, then it's going to continue playing the video, but if you're looking away from it, then the video is going to pause or stop. So this is a very similar feature to what Samsung had included on the Galaxy S4 and eventually on the Galaxy Note 3. And then in general, you're going to have access to different gestures. So you can tap the screen, you can flip the device over to silence or mute a call, and you're going to just have a bunch of different settings. This phone does have a powerful 3000 milliamp hour battery, so in general use I found it last well over a day of moderate to heavy use. I didn't have any battery life problems with this smartphone. And similar to the Samsung model here, what you're going to see is that on the lock screen, you're going to have access to a number of different lock screen widgets that you can place. So you can actually add more widgets. So if you like an analog clock, if you want a calendar widget, you can go ahead and do that. And the camera widget quickly launches the camera, so you don't have to unlock the screen. So this way you can capture photos right away just by scrolling to that widget without having to unlock your phone and then accessing the camera. Another way to quickly launch the camera, thanks to the software UI of the of the LG G2, is to actually press and hold down the volume down button. So if I do that for a couple seconds, the camera is going to automatically activate. There's also another quick setting in that if you press and hold the volume up button on the LG G2, you're going to launch the quick memo setting. So this allows you to write or jot down a quick memo. Another cool feature about the device is that you can actually lock the phone, which is pretty standard with any Android handset. So this is actually not it's not a new feature, but what is new to the G2 is that it features a guest feature. So with the guest feature enabled, you can actually give the phone to a friend and give your friend specific access to a limited number of apps. So if you just want to give your friends access to the internet browser and restrict access to your gallery or your camera, you can actually just hand the phone over to them and they'll have a special guest unlock code. So with the normal unlock code, it's going to give me access to everything, but I'm going to just draw a G, which I created just for guests, or G2, and then I've predefined what my guest users can have access to. So here they only have access to 3 apps, Google Maps, Chrome, and browser. You can restrict their access, you can add more apps if you want, but this way you can hand the phone over to a kid and not give them full access to Android, or you can give it to a friend and still maintain privacy if you don't want your friends looking at certain content on your phone. We covered the double tap to wake it up, and now I'm going to enter my normal unlock code, and this is going to launch the full LG G2 operating system for my phone, complete with all the apps. So AT&T did pre-install a number of different applications on there, so it does come with a number of applications. Some of them you'll find useful, some of them might not be as useful, but they're there, and you can always download more applications through the Google Play Store. The LG G2 obviously can multitask, and it takes on a slightly different approach than the Samsung with the multi-window view. With the LG G2, you have 2 different ways to multitask. The first way is called the QSlide apps, and this allows you to have floating windows on top of your display. So it's similar to what the Galaxy Note 3, be sure to check out that video, where you have the different pen windows. So this way, if I launch the calendar app, I can not only move the windows around. So let's say I'm typing an email and I need quick access to say what date I want to meet my friend at. I can just launch the calendar app and I can have my email going on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and launch my email application on the bottom. And then I can have the calendar app on top, and I can obviously resize the application. And if the application is bothering me, what I can also do is I can go ahead and make it more transparent so I can see more of what's going on with the email application, and then I can go ahead and bring back the full calendar so I can make it less transparent. This way, if I want to focus more on the calendar, I can go ahead and make the calendar full screen, or I can close the calendar from there as well. And then LG does allow you to somewhat multitask in the calendar application as well. So you do have a split view here of the full month, and then you have an agenda, a day or week view of what's going on to get a better glance at the specific events that's going on within the calendar. You can only have 2 QSlide apps running at the same time in addition to a full screen app. So I'm going to launch the browser here on the bottom. And then I'm going to try and launch two apps. So let's do the calendar, and I might want to do a calculator on top. And the nice part is that you can make it more transparent if you want. So the apps can still continue to run and it's not going to bother you. So here I have the calendar app on the bottom, and you can barely tell that it's existing. So it's actually it's sort of like a minimized feature, but it's just more transparent this way. You can go ahead and close out of both of these apps. And I'm going to relaunch the browser. Another way to multitask is by using gestures. If you use 3 fingers and if you swipe, it's going to save the apps, and you can save up to 3 different apps, and this way you can go ahead and relaunch the apps. I'm going to go ahead and launch my messaging app, and then swipe again. And let's do the email app and swipe that next. So it's going to save the applications for you. And now from the home screen, if I swipe out, I can go ahead and quickly relaunch. So it's kind of like a minimized application that's minimized into a taskbar if you're familiar with the Windows desktop experience. So it's similar to that. And now I can go ahead and juggle between the messaging app. I can go ahead and save the app again, and then try and pull it out. And then I can switch to the browser. And then switch to email. So there is a lot of flexibility in how you can multitask with the LG G2. Additionally, the nice part about the phone is that you can it's one of the few phones where you can actually use the Android UI in landscape mode. So if you're using the 5.2-inch gorgeous display in your car and you're navigating and you're mounting this as a GPS mount and you like to look at the screen in landscape mode, it's going to look natural, whereas on a Samsung device like the Galaxy Note 3, you're going to be more limited to a portrait orientation. Even if you rotate it, the main home screen UI is going to continue to be portrait, so you're not going to have as nice an effect when you're mounting the phone in your car in landscape as you do with the LG G2. With LG, you're going to have a number of different voice search apps. Google Now, which is Google's digital voice assistant, is also included, but LG included 2 other applications. So with 3 different voice search applications, it does tend to get a little bit more confusing. So the voice search here on the far right-hand side, that's Google Now. You can go ahead and search for different things, and it's going to go ahead and recognize it in real time. Okay, so that was not what we wanted to search for, just was a demonstration. There's VoiceMate, which is similar to Samsung's S Voice, and it allows you to control more of your phone features. So you can launch different applications, you can create appointments and reminders, and then there's also a more simplified voice dialer. So this is some of the things that you can do. You can launch applications, and it's mainly to work within your phone's voice dialing, so it allows you to call a specific contact. I'm not sure why Voice Dialer requires a separate app when you can clearly do that with the LG VoiceMate application or even with the voice search using Google Now. LG also included a quick remote. We covered this briefly when we talked about the infrared blaster here on the top of the device. So like all the new flagships from Samsung and HTC, this one does have a built-in infrared remote control. And unlike the HTC model, which actually gives you, or even the Samsung model, which gives you a more visual UI of of the channels that you're watching. So for instance, let's go ahead and launch Watch On Samsung. So it's going to give you not a visual UI of what's playing right now. So if I wanted to watch Seinfeld or Family Guy, I don't have to memorize the channel. I can just go ahead and tap here and it's going to change my channel to watch Family Guy if I wanted to. Whereas on the LG model, which I've set up on the Verizon version of the G2, it's just going to give you a basic. It's essentially a touchscreen version of this simple remote that came with your cable box, so you're not going to get any enhanced graphics or visuals with the LG remote, the quick remote. And like S Translator on the Samsung Galaxy S4, LG does have what it bundles as a quick translator. And I think the LG version is a little bit more full-featured than the Samsung version. I don't have anything to translate right now, but essentially, you can actually translate a word where you can fit the word from the camera, the 13 megapixel camera from the rear into this little box. You can translate based on a line, so you don't have to translate each individual word. You can translate a whole line of text or even a block of text if you're reading a paragraph. So it does give you a lot more flexibility into what you're trying to translate. And of course, you can even do a voice translation if you're not doing a text translation. And then you can download additional dictionaries to translate too. So if you're trying to there's a number of supported languages that the phone can interpret, and it works either over your data connection or you can even download the dictionary. In terms of customizing the Android OS, LG gives you a lot more flexibility than any of the other manufacturers. So if I just tap and hold on the icon here, a brush does appear. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And if I tap on it again, what I can do is I can change the icon image. So if I wanted the icon to look a different way, I can go ahead and select from any of this. So this is a speed test application. Maybe I want to just call it S. And then I can go ahead and change it to a traditional icon, or I can make the icon even bigger to give it more emphasis. So all you would have to do is tap and hold, wait for the brush to come up, and then tap on the brush again, and then you can go ahead and change it. I'm going to go ahead and revert that to the original icon. Another nice feature of the LG G2 is that with the Android navigation keys located on the display itself, rather than be a separate hardware portion of the phone on the bezel as a capacitive touch button, it does give you flexibility to change the look, feel, and the arrangement of the home key, or the navigation keys. So here I have back, home, and menu in portrait orientation, and I have the same layout on this Verizon model as I have on the AT&T model. Let's go ahead and turn the display back on. In landscape orientation. So I'm going to go ahead and change the home keys on the AT&T model. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the settings menu. And then under the display tab, you can go ahead and go to the front touch button. And then it's going to give you different options. So if I wanted to have a 4-button layout, and this will give me access to the quick memo button, which we've showed you briefly just by when the screen is off by pressing and holding on the volume up button, that would access that as well. But let's say I wanted to change the position of the home screen where I begin with the menu button rather than the back button. If that's more familiar to me, I can go ahead and change it that way. And now this one starts with the menu. And you can see the old home screen arrangement on the right-hand side and the new one that we just changed on the left-hand side. With the G2 on the AT&T model, you can actually the top widget bar here is scrollable, so it's similar to what Samsung has done, and it gives you quick access to some of the features of the phone without having to dig through the settings menu. So by pressing and holding it, it would actually launch the settings. So if I needed to pair a Bluetooth device, I can go ahead and press and hold the Bluetooth button. Pressing and holding on the Wi-Fi button, or just tapping on the Wi-Fi button, or any of these buttons would actually just activate the feature or disable the feature. However, if you press and hold on it, it's going to give you the functionality to have deeper settings controls. So here I can actually connect to a Wi-Fi network, enter in a password to a protected Wi-Fi network if I needed to. And then, like the Samsung models, you can actually rearrange these. So if you find that you're not using Quick Memo so much, you can go ahead and move it further down the list. And if you're flying a lot and you need quick access to the airplane mode, you might as well begin your list with that. So let's go ahead and take a look at how it looks now. So now I have airplane mode at the beginning. Quick Memo has moved towards the middle of the list. Let's go ahead and take a look at the camera features now on the LG G2. So like the Samsung camera, you can actually now take a picture using both the front and the rear facing camera using the dual camera mode. So it's similar to the dual shot mode on the Galaxy S4. And this works also in video as well, give you the ability to record videos with yourself in it. So if you're on vacation and you're always the photographer, you're likely gonna not be present in a lot of the different pictures. But with the dual camera mode, it might sound gimmicky, but it allows you to be in the picture. So you're capturing both the scene in front of you and also using the front-facing camera to capture your image as well. There's also panorama, burst mode, a beauty shot, which smoothens out skin tone, so it gives you a more nice look to your pictures if you're taking a lot of portraits. Shot and clear is to remove any photo bombers who might creep into your picture. There's a sports mode for faster shutter speed. Just a variety of different modes and options. You also have access to a lot more fine-tuned controls as well, including white balance, geotagging if you want, your GPS location embedded in your pictures. It does have a 13 megapixel camera with optical image stabilization, and there are two good uses for that. The first is that with pictures, if you're taking a picture in the low light situation, what this does is it allows you to have a longer shutter time to capture more light, and it also removes the camera shake. So now you can have a longer shutter and a sharper, clear picture without any blur to it. The second good use out of this is with videos. With the LG G2, if you have videos, it's going to be more stabilized when you're recording videos. So especially in 1080p on a larger display, if you're playing your video on a larger monitor or TV, you don't want the camera shake. So this is just me walking down the street in San Francisco and just hand holding the camera. So it's a little bit shaky. It's a little bit more shaky than the Nokia Lumia, but it's not too bad considering I'm walking and holding the camera at the same time with just one hand. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the photos. With the nighttime photos, I've noticed that there's a lot of glare if you're taking a picture of bright light. So here you're going to see a lot more camera, the glare and the flaring of the light on the pier here in San Francisco. You don't have that much glare or flare of the lens on the Nokia Lumia 1020, and we're going to go ahead and post the comparison shots on the LG G2 review on gottabemobile.com, so be sure to search for that. Found that most shots are actually detailed. It has a nice feel and image quality to it. It has a nice warm effect to it that's very pleasing. And again, all these image samples are going to be posted on gottabemobile.com, so be sure to tune in there as well. And while the phone does capture nice details and nice photos, what I noticed is that if you blow up the photos a little bit, you're going to get a little bit of more noise than you like. And that's kind of surprising given the 13 megapixel resolution and given the fact that this photo was actually taken in bright sunlight. So it's very good lighting, it's not in the dark, but once you blow it up a little bit more, you're going to see a little bit more noise in the photo. I'm Changwen. Thanks for watching this video of the software features that LG has included on the LG G2 and some of the different nuances in the software design of the AT&T model compared with the Verizon wireless model. Tune in to gottabemobile.com. Until next time, I'm Changwen. Thanks for watching.